Hi friend, it is Friday. I'm Pat Sloan and here's our daily chat for August 14th, and I've got our topic of the day. I have a little bit about the wrapping up a sew along, and then I want to come back. I want to roll back around to yesterday's topic of quilt kits, because there was some amazing, interesting conversation on our group. Okay, so what's our topic for today? We're gonna do a color parade. Woohoo! I don't know, I'm going to run out of colors, but I want to see your green quilts that are primarily green on this happy Friday. They can be green and something else, because you probably don't have a quilt that's all green, but if you do, there's no other color in it but green, I would be very excited to see that. Somebody was doing, when we did the Splendid Sampler, they did all shades of red. I don't know, she started out and then not sure she ever showed too many, so I'm not sure if she continued on that path or if she changed it up. But it was fascinating to see only shades of red. I've seen rainbow type quilts, particularly with sampler blocks, like small sampler blocks of the Splendid Sampler. I think Melissa Corey's was like a rainbow, so she might have several blocks that were all orange, several blocks that were all yellow, just, you know, to build the rainbow colors. Okay, so green, everything green today. My mother-in-law, here's a little tip, not a tip, here's a little insider. My mother-in-law, Madge, was a banker, and when she started quilting, she found that she could get fabric with, you know, money fabric, you know, had little dollar bills on it or whatever it was. So she bought quite a few yards of money fabric, and then she used to put it in all her quilts. She put little pieces of money fabric somewhere in the quilt. So that was always fun to look for. Okay. Morning mugs. That is our wrap up this week. On the website today, I have got some pretty pictures of the morning rug. I'm going to show you to you here too. And then there's also the future sew alongs that are coming up. I listed them again in case you did not see them the other day, because if you didn't see them, I want you to see what's going on. I made a few adjustments for the timing. They're all about the same time, but I may have moved some to a different day, you know, that kind of a thing. One I made a little bit longer, decided that would be better. So here we go, morning mugs, ta-da, ta-da. So Lena sewed this one for me, and she quilted it, and she put in the gorgeous rickrack in the binding. Inside, it's not in the binding, it's sewn underneath. So there you can see the rickrack. So, and I know some of you will want to see the corner. So there's Lena, you know, so when she laid this, you know, she could position it how she wanted, because, you know, she doesn't have to turn that corner. She just cuts off the rickrack and then put the binding on the top of it. And this is the backing fabric that I ended up selecting. It is one from the same line. And I had a question early on when somebody wanted to order some backing fabric, and they said to me, you know, how do you decide what fabric to put on the back? And my decision varies, but often when I buy fabric just for the back and it matches the front, I will pick something that the leftovers are usable. So often, not always, it's not, I don't do hard and fast rules, but if I can use some of this, like it didn't all get used, so the extra could go into my turquoise stash, and it's a nice smaller print, and it's very usable. Occasionally there's a spectacular fabric, like on the red and white quilt on my wall, the crush quilt, there is a lobster print. Do you see that lobster fabric in the, oh, you can't because it's not tall enough. There you go. So you see that lobster fabric in there? Whoops. That lobster fabric, there we go. It's a very old fabric, so don't ask me to find it. But the backing of that quilt is all the lobster fabric. And I think I still have a few pieces of lobster fabric somewhere. I hope so, in my red and white bin. So Lena quilted this very simply, sort of some outline quilting, some quilt in the ditch basically. So it's really nice. It's so pretty. I'm so thankful for my friends to do that. So I'm going to stick this over here. So that, some up close pictures are over on the link below to my website. Okay, let's, oh, wait, before we do that, because I don't want to forget. I got this, which is so cute. It's a pin holder, or I'm sorry, it's a needle holder. Well, you could do pins too, but you could put it on your bag. You can put it anywhere. It's a magnet. you know, two-sided magnet, right? So these needle keepers. But the bee is so cute. Look at that bee. I love it. Love it, love it. So, and it's nice. That's a big one. That's a big needle holder. So I can put it on a bag that I'm using. And I will. All right. Let's roll back and talk about those kits. I have some fun observations. That's what I'll call them. Because it was interesting. I didn't, using a kit. Now, I expected people to give me some grief about telling you to count your kits. I was expecting grief, and I did get grief. Because of course, who wants to count them? You don't want to know how many kits are waiting for you to sew. But what I was sort of unexpected was that there are people who have never bought a kit, which is fine. But I guess I was not, just some observations about why people have not bought a kit is very interesting. You know, some people feel like like maybe they're too expensive, and they are a bit more expensive because everything has to be cut for you. They cut smaller sizes, so like if you only need an 8-inch square of fabric, your kit will have, you know, an 8-inch square, a 9-inch square. Well, you can't go into a store and buy a 9-inch square. So, you know, and somebody has to cut that for you and be sure it's all in there and be sure the sizes are accurate and all those things. So, you know, they do cost a little bit more because of that. And what I want to show you an example of when that is an advantage is because if you have a quilt like the Norman Nanette, okay? So Norman Nanette was using this fabric line by Elizabeth Hartman, and you know, you only need so much per outfit. You know, you don't need a big piece. You don't even need a fat quarter. So it is actually nice to be able to have all this variety. I don't really need extras of this fabrics. You can just buy the pattern and you can pick all your own. But I really thought that this layout of kind of a rainbow effect was very darling, and I liked the fabrics, so I decided that it would be easier for me to have a kit of it. That way I don't really have any extra of that fabric when I'm done, which would be good because I don't really need it. I don't, you know, it's nice just for the kit. So that's one reason buying a kit is nice, is that you get the variety of fabric, it's all set up. Not all kits are expensive. If you've never bought one and you want to experience it, you can get a table runner, or you could get a oftentimes there'll be kits to add borders or a few blocks for a panel quilt, and so those are generally not very expensive because there's not a lot of extra cutting. There might just be some fat quarters in the panel kind of a thing. So those are really great. Another interesting observation people had was that, what if they made a mistake? Well, what if you did? Would it be the end of the world? Depending on the kit, if the fabrics are so incredibly unique that you might want to buy some extra of something that looks like you might need a bit more of it. Actually, some shops will sell a error kit, for a better word. They usually have a fancier name, but they'll sell you a little package of fabric of the pieces that they feel you might be prone to maybe cutting wrong. The other thing is if it's not that specific of fabric, let's say it was Norman Nanette, like if one of these fabrics, like let's say the teal Norm here, if I messed up his outfit, I have a lot of teal fabric. I could just go and get some of my own and make him up, and he would not look any different and not fit in any awkwardly to the rest of the quilt. So there are ways to do that. Let's see. I think there was a... So the other thing was another observation. I have some notes there because I didn't want to forget, because there was lots of things people had, lots of stuff. One of them was, well, they couldn't be as creative. Well, you can buy a kit and then you can swap out a few of the fabrics. I have done that. Like I bought it and then thought, oh, well, I would prefer this one. Like I want to add a polka dot in there or something and swap something out. Just an example for Norman Nanette again, if I had a particular red that I really wanted to showcase in one of the outfits, I would just change it out and then take that, switch out the red. One of the other things for me as a quilt maker, having a kit sometimes lets me just sit down and sew. I like the finished quilt as it is. I like all those fabrics. Why wouldn't I just get it so that I could just sit and sew sometimes? Sometimes I don't have to pick out all the fabric myself. And for me, because I design, and often everything I'm working on is for work, it's nice to have something where I don't have to think about it. I can just grab it and do it and keep going. And it's something to experience. If you're a quilt maker, one of my goals as a quilt maker, ever since I learned over 30 years ago, was that I would like to experience most things, most techniques, most options, most everything in quilt making. I want to at least try things. I would like to see how it felt to, sew on a long arm. You can do that at a quilt show when you can get to quilt shows again. Go to a dealer, they often have a long arm up. You can just test it, like that's an experience. Using a kit is an experience. It took me a long time till I bought a kit because I really didn't understand the advantages of them. And now I do. I have loads of designer friends who will just pick up a kit just so they can make it for themselves, make it for a gift for somebody. They don't have to think about it. It's not a job. They don't have to worry about it. But one of the things it's not a badge of honor to have never bought a kit. Occasionally people get into a position if you've not done something or you have done something that makes it, I don't know, it comes across occasionally in the way we write that's better. And it's not better. It's just what happened or what your experience is. Somebody who's never hand quilted, somebody who only hand quilts. They're both just ways to get the quilting done. Neither is better. They're just techniques, just like saying I'm going to piece a quilt or I'm going to applique a quilt. They're just techniques. So, the end result is a quilt, either way. And the end result, whether you picked your own fabric and picked your own pattern or you bought a kit, the end result is a finished quilt. So that was just, those are my observations for today. I just thought I had to start writing them down. It was just fascinating to me to read through yesterday on the both here at YouTube and over at my group along with Pat Sloan and see what all was going on with your thoughts on kits. Okay, one more thing, then we're gonna wrap it up quick. Because we're gonna keep you here all morning, right? I got one of these and I wanted to dump it out and show it to you because they come online every so often. I'll link you to a couple places that have them. Moda does these scrap bags and several people have said, oh, what's in them? So here's one. I have not opened it yet. I only opened that part before I started. So here's one. And this scrap bag is all Ruby Society. So this happens to be some pretty nice pieces of fabric, pretty big pieces. This is how wide? That's a little more than 6 inches wide and 6, 12, 18 inches long. So these are all from Ruby Society. You never know what you're going to get in them. I have gotten them where the pieces are smaller, but I haven't got one recently, so I don't know if they've changed up how they do it. Sometimes there's dupes, you can see, duplicates. Other times there's not. Sometimes there's great big salvages on the end, and sometimes there's not. Well, there's still a salvage, but it's not like the printed one. So you can see here there's quite a couple dupes of everything. So there's some of these online, and if you love the variety of getting this, more eggs. I love that egg fabric. I have some. Stars, I have this fabric too. There we go, on the hedgies, they're so cute. So these bags are pretty fun. They're pretty fun to do. I've gotten this may be my third one I've ordered over time. So I will link you up to a couple places that have them, and they go very fast. So if you don't see it when you get there, then you just have to look next time. All right, friend, green quilts. If you have a kit and you've never sewn it, get it out, sew it up. If you've never bought a kit, think about trying that sometime. Try something new. And if you have a zillion kits, get one of those out. I'm Pat Sloan, and I love you. Thank you so much for being here. I will see you online. Mwah.